You've got a secret admirer who is on the brink of reaching out with this Three of Wands card. It feels like this person has been observing for a while. They've been crushing hard for a while, and something within them has let them know, like, if I keep sitting here in this energy, it's going to tumble into obsession. And I don't want that. This person doesn't want to miss an opportunity with you. And it feels like they've also sort of reached their limit of being able to kind of just long for you from afar, to yearn from afar. They also recognize that they may have put you up on some kind of pedestal, and there's a sense of like, I need to get to know you as you are, not just as this fantasy or this idealized version of who I imagine that you can be, but before I allow myself to kind of tumble any further into this realm of fantasy or desire, it makes sense to step forward, to approach you, to see if like what I sense as connection and potential between the two of us is something that is realistic in the material world. This person may have had very few interactions with you, little conversations, maybe just like hello, and you know each other's name. This could be somebody that is in some sort of shared community setting, where it's like a familiar face in the crowd, but you don't really know very much about one another, and yet they have been very fixated on you. It feels like somebody that is kind of at the point of like when they're out and about, they hope that they see you. They hope that they encounter you. They hope that there's a chance meeting. Or if this is somebody even that's like watching your socials, it's kind of like they look forward to that. They look forward to the things that you post. They look forward to those updates. But it's now reached this place within where it's like, if this goes any further in this way, I might as well just call this limerence and call it a day, because that will sort of sink the ship as far as anything that, would be very realistic, anything that could like actually live up to the experience of something healthy and real. This is not somebody that just wants to kind of skulk around in the shadows forever. It feels like this is somebody that sort of like knows their tendency, or maybe has had experiences with limerence in the past. And so they've addressed that, they've tried to like work on that, or they're very conscientious to sort of not end up in that same boat with another person. And so it's like, okay, I need to put myself out there. I need to say something, because I don't want this to spiral into something unhealthy or distorted or unrealistic. So even though they're like secret admirer, that doesn't bring any kind of like cringy energy forth. This is somebody that it feels like they have something to offer. This is somebody that is well adjusted, they're grounded. This is somebody that is not kind of prone towards fantasy, and yet they have been captivated by you. And so, when they approach, like if it feels right, this feels like the kind of person that it's like you sort of, taking the time to get to know them or exploring this. There's a lot that they realistically bring to the table in terms of like relationship material, somebody that it would be like a good idea to invest with, and they know that about themselves. Yeah, we have the magician. So this person is hatching a plan in order to take steps towards you. There may be a time when they know that they encounter you, like they regularly see you at the same like time, the same day of the week, the same circumstances, and it's like, okay, the next time we're in the same room, the next time we're in the same kind of vicinity, I'm going to approach, I'm going to say something. This might also be somebody that is kind of like, drafting that message on social media. They're getting ready to kind of like reach out. This may be somebody as well that if you know people in common, they may be getting ready to ask somebody else to kind of orchestrate a meeting between you. Kind of that third party mediator, sort of like, get me an introduction, give this person my phone number, see if like they would be okay with you, giving me their number, and then I'll take it from there. Something that, may even be like kind of, hey, can you do something where we're all kind of getting together, in sort of a group setting or a mutual setting, and then I'll take it from there. It's definitely somebody that is, putting in a lot of thought, putting in a lot of planning to what that will be like, because it feels like they're coming out of this pure secret admirer energy. Like there's been very few interactions. There might have been something where it's kind of like, okay, that person's attractive, or there's a spark, there's a chemistry, but it feels like there's nothing that would be like a real indicator of like, oh, I knew that it was going to be that person saying something. You might have sensed somebody in your energy, or felt kind of like, I think I have a secret admirer, which can be that confirmation with this magician energy of like, yeah, you do have a secret admirer, but it might not be the person that you think it is, or it's an energy of kind of like you'll be surprised when this person approaches, because you might have, be used to sort of having people admiring from afar, having people develop these little crushes, but they don't really do anything about it. This is somebody, though, with this magician, with like all of those elements, they bring a lot to the table as far as like, if this is somebody that you're attracted to, this is somebody that, it feels right for you, if your instinct is giving you the green light, then this is somebody that brings a lot, they offer a lot. This is somebody that doesn't just want to kind of, be part of your fan club. They don't just want to be somebody that's like sitting on the sidelines and kind of admiring you from afar. This is also somebody, though, that, if you don't feel comfortable, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel like there's chemistry, if it doesn't align, this isn't going to be somebody that's just going to continue to like chase. This isn't going to be somebody that's going to make you uncomfortable or give you like creepy vibes. This is somebody that is like self-aware enough, or kind of regulated enough in themselves, that it's sort of like you never know unless you try. They want to take those steps forward, but they are just as prepared to kind of detach or move forward, or to start to kind of decompress from that experience of like, I'm very fascinated by you, I'm very drawn to you, I'm kind of developing this little crush. Like, this is somebody that they know how to detach if things are not reciprocal, but it's reached a place of like, I can't keep going on like this, of just fantasizing about this person and not take any actions to see like, is this something even real? This is not somebody that just wants to be in that kind of, I build this whole fantasy world up within myself and it's not really anything. They don't want to be that kind of person. So whatever this is, like however their method of approach is, it feels like it's going to be very swift, very direct, very to the point. This isn't going to be somebody that's going to come in and like, I just want to hang out in the friend zone. Although they definitely could be part of like a friend circle. This might even be somebody that is just a friend at this point that has developed a crush. And it's kind of like, in order to preserve this friendship, or, preserve like the cordial connection that we have, I need to open up about that. I need to take that chance. I need to see, is there something here? Is there potential in this circumstance, so that this doesn't become something which interferes in our friendship, and is also not something that like takes on a life of its own, if there's no chance that that is reciprocal, or that can kind of result in a meaningful experience between the two of us. Yeah, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is somebody that wants to approach you in a way that makes you feel comfortable, especially if this is somebody that, you don't know them. This is like total stranger. They almost anticipate that you might be a little bit guarded. You might kind of not take them very seriously. And so it feels like any sort of delays at this particular point in time is like, how do I make my presence known in a way that is not sort of setting off alarm bells for this person? How do I express myself in a way that, even if it's kind of like, hey, this is coming out of left field, but, I like you, I find you interesting, or, they kind of just put themselves out there and try to get a conversation started, how to do that in a way that kind of like provides you some sort of like immediate reassurances. This is a safe person. This is a trustworthy person, that also showcases kind of like putting their best foot forward, presents that energy of like, this is what I offer. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is kind of the life that I'm living, to sort of give you these subtle clues and indicators of like, yeah, I'm somebody with something to offer. I'm not just coming in to manipulate. I'm not coming in to waste your time. It feels like this person is not just coming in to hook up with you. This is somebody that, is like, I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to see if there's some compatibility here. There's a spark, there's a chemistry, there's an interest. Yeah, it's surface level at this particular point in time, but, I'm looking for something meaningful. I'm looking for depth, as far as like this situation is concerned. This person may be at a point in their life where they're like, yeah, I'm open to hookups, I'm open to situationships, I'm open to having a good time. But what they have experienced with you, this like feeling inside, or anything, any kind of like ways in which you've connected so far, there's a sense within them like, I think we could have more than that. I think it'd be possible to kind of go beyond that. And so I want to take the lead in this circumstance that puts us in the direction of like something like that being possible, if that's what you'd want, and if it feels right to me after I sort of come out of the shadows and explore this out in the open. like if we're both vibing in that way, then I don't want this to just be something where, you know, it's a one night stand and we each go our own ways and are back on kind of the hunt, as far as, you know, like a respectable partner, or, you know, the possibilities of like a long-term connection are concerned. So there's a planning involved with this. There's a specific approach that this person feels like that they want to take. And so there may be something where they're kind of at a standstill, like, how do I make myself stand out from just other random people that would reach out like on social media, or you know, how do I kind of like make it known if I approach directly that it's kind of like, I'm not just here asking for directions, I'm not just here trying to make small talk because, you know, I'm bored at this moment in time, but that, you know, I sort of get the ball rolling in that direction of like, hey, you know, I find you attractive, you know, you caught my attention, you caught my eye, you look like an interesting person. How do they come off without sounding like kind of cliche in any sort of way, in order to, you know, put themselves in kind of your view, or your perspective, or to get your attention onto them, so that you see, yeah, this is somebody that wants to kind of put in the work in order to, you know, establish, is there the possibility of rapport, is there the possibility of connection between the two of us. Yeah, we've got the Eight of Pentacles. So again, this is somebody, it feels like, that has experienced limerence on at least one occasion in the past. And so that is kind of like their biggest fear. I don't want to just sit here and kind of admire someone from afar and it takes on a life of its own, and I either never do anything about it and then the moment passes. So if you're single at this point, or this person thinks that you're single, there's a sense of kind of like, I can't just sit here, you know, watching from the shadows for too long. It's not healthy. It's not good. You know, if I wait too long and I miss a window of opportunity, then it just makes it harder to detach. This is somebody that doesn't like to feed energy into unrealistic things. This is somebody that's a very practical person. It's got to make sense, or they don't invest in it at this point in their life. And so this is definitely something where, you know, they are kind of like, okay, I know things that have happened in the past, or like a tendency that used to exist within me. Maybe this is somebody that didn't have very high self-esteem. They were kind of risk averse. They were like, I need to just sit and watch. I need to just sit and wait. This person may also feel that you're slightly out of their league in some sort of way, or they could have just even habitually thought that with other people, that caused them to develop crushes, end up in those circumstances of limerence. It's something that they've had to work on, something that they've had to acknowledge, something that they have recognized within themselves has happened before. And so this is somebody that's like, I don't want this to be that circumstance again. I need to do something. I need to know one way or another, so then I can adjust my approach to this, either like, okay, we're taking the time to get to know one another. I'm facing whatever other fears arise, or, you know, just going through the process of like taking time to establish if there's like a real possibility of connection, or I invest all of that emotional energy and all that psychic energy in detaching from this, in making myself kind of not look towards you, or to try to shut my feelings off. So it feels like this is a very safe person in terms of like, whatever you decide, if you're like, yeah, I'm open to this, I'm open to exploring this, let's see kind of what happens, let's see what the potential is. They bring a lot of kind of good energy, it feels like, to the table. That this isn't somebody that is going to be like pestery. You're going to have a hard time, you know, kind of rejecting them in any sort of way. This is also not somebody, though, that is just going to like hold back and keep feeding into that kind of fantasy. They already know that there's kind of the sense of like, yeah, I want to approach, and I've been sitting here in secret admirer energy for a period of time. You know, any longer in this energy is not healthy. It's not good. So, you know, I owe it to myself. I owe it to us. I owe it to whatever may or may not happen in this circumstance, to put myself out there, to present myself in the light of day. Yeah, we got the Nine of Cups. So it feels like this person, again, they have like a very good energy. For a lot of you, this is somebody where they're going to make you very comfortable right away. This is somebody that, you know, will probably provide you with a very like good experience in love and romance. It may be something that could be short-lived. You know, it may be something where it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of just a temporary romance. You know, you'll have to just sort of like wait and see kind of what that all develops into. But this is definitely somebody that, They look at circumstances like limerence as kind of low vibrational. That's toxic energy. This isn't somebody that just likes to fixate or fantasize. This is somebody that's kind of like, I want to know one way or another. I don't want to like waste other people's time. I don't want to waste my time. I'm not interested in anything that turns into obsession. And so this is somebody, it feels like, that has kind of reached a place in their life where they go after things that, catch their attention. If there's interest, they do something about that because they've experienced the other side of the coin, either the regret of loss for missed opportunities or circumstances where it's kind of like they waited too long and then it turned out there wasn't any sort of real connection, and then it made it very hard to disconnect, to shut those feelings off. And so there's already been enough interest, there's already been enough observation, there's already been enough kind of like experiences for some of you up to this point in time, or even for a portion of you, this almost feels like a friend that has these kind of like feelings like they developed a crush, and it's kind of like, if we're going to maintain our friendship, I got to address this out in the light of day. Or if this is something that's going to become something more than friends, then I need to take action at this point in time. You never know unless you try to find out, is kind of the energy here. So it feels like this is something that brings a very open energy, a very honest energy, and something where if you're feeling like that you have a secret admirer, you can feel that there's somebody that's kind of like they're sending you the love vibes at this particular point in time. It is this person that is very close to kind of like standing up, saying something, introducing themselves, presenting themselves to see for themselves and for you. Like, is there true connection here? Is there real compatibility? Is there something for us to work with in the material realm? So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.